Are you struggling to find space to be able to store your food and your other important prepper supplies? Me too. But let me show you what I've done to my little prepper pantry to significantly increase my storage space. Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Kylene, and storage space is huge. We have a smaller home and it seems like we've just accumulated stuff and our cupboards are full and our pantry was full, and yet we didn't have space for the stuff that we really needed. And so one of my goals for this year was to go through absolutely everything, every cupboard, every pantry, every drawer, everything, to see if I could get more space and to make sure that I had room for what was really important. Now, some of the decisions that I had to make were really tough because I sent a lot of good stuff to the thrift store and even some cases of food to the food bank because they were stuff that I just really didn't need or wasn't going to use. And I think sometimes we have to make those really hard decisions. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what I've done. But first I want to tell you a little bit about what inspired me. So I went to visit my dear friend Rosemary, and she has this little tiny pantry. And she significantly increased her storage capacity by just putting these shelves on the inside of her pantry door. And that made a huge difference. Now I'm going to show you a video of my pantry. Well, actually, in progress of when I was cleaning out my pantry. It's crazy. It's kind of embarrassing that I'm willing to do this, but this pantry is 4.5 feet by 7 feet, except for the doorway. But that's not a lot of room. But this pantry held a lot of stuff. Okay, guys, no judging. All this everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. All this insanity came out of this really little room. It's a tiny room, which will now be cleaned, but it's actually not very large at all. That's how much stuff fit in here. Now, obviously we should clean it more often than I do, but I'm super excited about these new racks because I think they'll make it so that I can find my spices much easier. It also takes up less storage space. Oh, it's gonna take me hours, but it will get done. So wish me luck, guys. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Okay, are you ready? We survived that. And now let me introduce you to my new pantry. Let's start by looking at the bottom because we don't want to waste any space, right? So here's just some cute little stacking baskets that I had gotten for some of our fresh vegetables. And we have these buckets that have the Gamma Seal lids so that I can use my storage. Now, I know we're different than a lot of people because we really cook from scratch. So those 3 buckets have wheat and kamut and I think spelt in the other one. And it's right here where it's super convenient when I'm grinding my wheat. But all along the bottom here, oh, my favorite, this little stool, because this is way too tall for me. I have all of my basics right here in these buckets. Now, there were things when I was going through here, we had more buckets than this, but I found that as we've had some of the children leave home and I'm not feeding as many people and our diets have changed, now we're using different things. So like I had a bucket of hot cocoa mix, which we used to use a lot, but now we don't really need it. And so I donated that to one of our grandkids. And right now we only have the stuff that we really use. We have some of the 5-gallon buckets, but then these are some smaller buckets. This is just the next shelf. Now, I got rid of a lot of my appliances because some of them I'm just not using. But there's my bread maker, and I have 2 Instant Pots because I have a huge family and sometimes we just need them. So we've got our appliances in here, and then we also have several crock pots because we have so many people. But if you look, here's our number 10 cans. This is how I use the number 10 cans. They have these little plastic lids on them. And so when we open them, that we just put them up there. But one of the other things that I do a lot, check out these. So these are containers from Costco. A lot of them had either salt or nuts in them. But I repurpose them and I use them, like for instance, to hold my split pea flour or other things that I buy in bulk that I cook differently. I recognize it than a lot of people. But this is just kind of the way that I do it. On here is our tall junk food aisle. And at the very, very, very top, this all used to be crazy with all kinds of different stuff. But I made some really tough decisions. I still have what I really need. And now I have plenty of room to go and top it all off again. One of the things about these buckets, these all have the Gamma Seal lids, but downstairs in our storage room, we have buckets that are sealed with regular lids. Once I use all of these rolled oats, we'll go downstairs and bring up another bucket and pour it into here. And then that bucket that we emptied, we'll go purchase more rolled oats to replace what we used. And that's the way that these buckets are so good at helping us to keep our foods rotated. This is the over the rack that I got, and I love it. There are lots of different options out there. This one was much less expensive than a lot of them, so it fit nicely into my budget. But do you see all of these spices? I purchased 2 of these racks, and it's amazing to me how much more convenient all of my spices are and how much easier it is to work. And just so you know, my house did finally recover. It took some pretty good work, but it's all back in place now. I had to make a lot of really tough decisions when it came to what I was going to let stay in our home and what needed to go. If it wasn't part of our preparedness plan, or if it didn't add value to my life, it had to go, no matter how much it cost, who gave it to me, or anything else, because right now, space is just at a premium. Now, one of the huge benefits that came from this is I am so much more organized, because all of these spices were on these shelves before, and there was always extra time looking for my spice or whatever. And now I've got all this. It's right where I know where it's at, right? A lot of this came out of a cupboard that's right behind you. And so now that cupboard has been freed up also. So I'm so much more organized. And as I'm cooking from scratch so much, it just makes my life easier. So this is so much better. Yeah, I was really, really tired. And it took me a few days to recover, quite frankly. But I'm super excited about this. And this is none of this was hard to do, right? Installing the shelves, Jonathan did do it for me, but it's really not that hard. So I'll leave a link to the ones we bought, but don't think that they're the only way to go, because quite frankly, the ones that I patterned after, they were a lot more expensive, but these fit in my budget. So whatever works for you. And now for the question of the day. So we have an amazing audience, and there's so much knowledge and wisdom out there. So will you please share with us for the question of the day today, what tips and tricks do you have for organizing your pantry and being able to make sure that we're rotating our foods a little bit better? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.